Looking to improve your squad on Ultimate Team? Visit IGGM.com for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Use my promo code NA to get 5% off. What's up, guys? For this video, we're going to be revisiting an older formation that people used to be using, and that's going to be the 4-4-2. This is probably, I would say, the best formation from when the game initially dropped in September. And don't get me wrong, obviously it's still a really good formation. There was never a point where it became bad. However, there's a bit of an issue with this formation that you'll see in other similar concept of this formation. You know, other formations that have two strikers as well as midfielders. And to be honest, I've seen people make custom tactics with this issue and not considering this issue, and this will cause the 4-4-2 to just not play well because foundationally the 4-4-2 is just really good. And I'll mention it later in the video, but there's just something that you have to know when you're playing this formation, because if you don't keep it in mind, you're going to make this formation play really bad for you. Besides that, this formation is pretty valuable because, like I said, you get that double striker up front system with center mids behind it. So it's very simple to get a really well-flowing attack. If you're someone that likes to play with a cam and a striker, you can get the same concept here, except obviously you're going to have two strikers instead of a cam. So if you're someone that likes to play 1-2s and behind with your two players up front, obviously you would have to get a tiki-taka plus or a tiki-taka playstyle player as one of your strikers. But if you can do that, you can play those 1-2 passes, the L1 through ball, instant through ball. Then this is going to be a really good counter-attacking formation, but it's also really good in tiki-taka as well. It's a very balanced, very moderate formation. You're getting a ton of different play styles incorporated, or gameplay styles, and just all around just a well-rounded formation. You can't go wrong with it. Now, as you can see, this is the team right here. It's pretty self-explanatory in terms of players. Hopefully I don't have to explain, especially at this point in the game, what type of players you're going to need. It's very simple. I think the only thing I'd keep a note is one of your strikers, try to get tiki-taka. Obviously CR7 here has tiki-taka. If you're doing the glyphs to goal, Peter Cech, or I think the other one was Yashin, they have tiki-taka as well. And I've seen people ask, don't you need incisive as well if you want the if you want to do that instant through ball thing? You actually don't. Tiki-taka will do just fine because it's not the incisive is only really helpful for like those crazy through balls and things like that, the ones where like it beats like 3 players and stuff like that. You don't need that necessarily. The issue is getting the point of the tiki-taka playstyle is to reduce the error when you play a pass with no first touch, or just right off the first touch, if that makes sense. Now, obviously, if you can get a striker with, if you can get a striker that has incisive as well, that will help. I think I have one, for example. If I look through my squad real quick, right here I have Nico Jackson. This is a really valuable card for me, but personally, you know, Ronaldo's stats are way better, so I'd have to use Ronaldo. But yeah, try to get at least one player. If you're a person that plays with if you're a person that plays instant through balls, try to get one tiki-taka, and then the other one is just the guy that's gonna run it behind. If you can't, it's not the end of the world. Even if you if you don't even play it, it doesn't matter, but just keep that in mind. And then obviously these are the custom tactics right here. I'll have the code top right in bigger text like always, and right off the bat you'll notice very, very simple, very, very straightforward. I'm sure this is a familiar concept to you, but yeah, build up style balanced, self-explanatory. For the 4-4-2, I would not recommend changing it. Other than that, balance is going to do just fine. You can do counter, but I don't feel like it's necessary, to be honest, especially when you have 2 strikers up front. You're getting a lot of volume and runs and things like that, so I don't recommend changing it. I have my defense approach set to 61, and people keep telling me 61 doesn't work. It does work. People say in game it will switch back. It will not switch back. It will look like it switched back because sometimes you go into your custom tactics in the middle of a match and then it'll say 70 again. That's because your I think how exactly it works is the fact that your defensive approach is not saved based on your code, because as you can see, if I set it to 62, your code is not going to change, so that means it's not saving per the code. And then as soon as you try to change your custom tactic in game, it's going to reflect a change based on your code, if that makes sense. I'm not explaining this well, but I hope you get the idea. So as soon as you try to change your custom tactic in the middle of the match, that's when it's going to change back to 70, and you don't want that. As long as you just keep it at 61 when you're starting the match, and every time you go to your bench or whatever to change your custom tactics, as long as you keep it on 61, make sure it stays on 61 during the match, then you should be fine. But yeah, like I said, as you can see, these are the rows here. Make sure 2 strikers up front. I try to get one for tiki-taka. If not the end of the world. I don't think it's mandatory, but at the higher levels, for sure, tiki-taka is going to be really useful. If you can get it on both, that's even better. If you can get even incisive in there as well, or if you can get a player that plays like a cam, So like one of those cards that's a cam that has a striker as a second position, even better. Maybe even use that that season pass Evo, the one that gives a card striker plus on all rolls. That will be pretty useful if you have a really good cam, if you want to use it at least. But yeah, that's that. And then you're gonna see a holding in a deep line playmaker. I know a lot of people use playmaker. I know a lot of people use box to box, and normally speaking, those are really good roles. But for this custom tactic and for this formation in general, I highly recommend you do not use these. Specifically, I do not use box to box and playmaker. And the main reason why I say this is because I'm assuming, obviously, if you have a different playstyle in mind, then disregard what I'm saying here. But when you want to attack, obviously your main priorities in front of goal, your main priorities for the players that are receiving the box for the shot or receiving the ball in the box for the shots is going to be two strikers. That's pretty obvious. Now your second priority is your inside forward balance. Now inside forward balance is a very, very conservative role. It's not aggressive. They naturally do not make many runs into the box, so you need to make sure in any custom tactic that uses inside forward balance, they are platformed to have AI for them to go inside the box or make those secondary runs into the box, if that makes sense. Now the problem is when you use something like box to box, as you can see that zone map, there's a bit of an interference. So what this is going to look like really often is that sometimes this player, this center mid, is going to be in front of your winger. They're going to be making a run instead of that. They're going to be making a run into space that you would normally expect your winger. Now obviously if you have a really good box to box midfielder, if you have a really good player that you want in the box, then obviously that doesn't matter, right? Like if you have someone really good here, you wouldn't care about your winger not being in the box for that spot. But at this point in the game, with how good wingers are in terms of goal scoring, you know, they all have stuff like finesse plus, rapid plus, quick step plus. They all have striker stats, if that makes sense. You would naturally want them to be in the box. And with deep line playmaker and holding, they don't have any forward AI. They're just, all they do for the most part is not even, they don't necessarily sit at the edge of the box. That's the highest they'll ever get, but for the most part they're just being like an anchor so you can recycle the ball and things like that. But we want your wingers to get the maximum possible volume inside the box. We don't want your center midfielders getting involved in the box, because if that's the case, then these players are going to back off. Now, you could try doing something like attack, inside forward attack, but the thing is, inside forward attack just kind of sucks to begin with in situations where you want to build up, you want to play slow in the box, or sorry, not in the box, but in possession. Now, if you're trying to just, you know, full send it, it's going to do exactly what you're asking for. But when you're using the 4-4-2, you want something that's very conservative, while also being very well-rounded, being able to adapt to game state, play with different play styles in mind. And inside forward balance maximizes that. Now that brings us to our fullbacks on defend. And for the most part, yes, keep it on defend. But however, if you're playing against someone that does not use a left wing, right wing formation, so if you're playing against someone that's using the 4-4-2 themselves, anything that has left mid and right mid instead of left wing and right wing, if that makes sense, you can put this on balanced. Now, I normally play with balance, but for this custom tactic, I have it set to defend. That way you can change it in game. But I want to attack my fullbacks, and fullback balance is where they step up, but they're not going to make runs. So what this is going to look like is they're going to step up so they can kind of help the midfield a little bit. And then what I do is that I'll play a 1-2 and then I'll trigger a passing go, so that way the winger or the fullback makes a run in behind. The problem with that is even before any of that happens, when they step up to begin with and you lose the ball, boom, big gap between your center back and right back. And that's why people have to use defend. The thing is, with that big gap, it's not going to be taken advantage of, assuming they're not playing with the wingers, with the left wing and the right wing. That's because this player can step up pretty high. The left mid and right mid, that AI is not going to be aggressive. They're not going to get in behind the winger. They're just going to stay in their own midfield space, basically. Because you have to understand, the left mid and right mid are always going to be next to the center mids. Like, they're going to be right next to, they're going to be basically touching each other, pause, when you don't have the ball. So if your fullback's on balance in this situation, and both of them are on balance, you're going to be completely fine. They're not going to make you run in behind last moment. Like, you're going to get really good attacking value from them, while still not having to worry about it defensively. But obviously, if you're going against a 4-2-1-3, a 4-3-3, anything that has 3 up front or even 4 up front, if you're going against like a 4-2-4, not that I've seen anyone play that this year, which I might do a video on soon, to be honest. I feel like it's got hidden potential. But yeah, like I said, if you're not playing against one of those, or if you are playing against one of those, just keep it on defend. And I would recommend just playing on defend every match. And then if you're in a situation where you just need to score a goal and you're playing against someone, like I said, that's on a 4-4-2, 4-1-4-1, 4-4-1-1, any of those formations, and you just need more attacking utility, you need to improve your attack, just switch your things to bounced in the middle of the match. But yeah, other than that, defender defend, goalkeeper defend, that's all. Like I said earlier, this formation is really well rounded, so this is a formation that isn't necessarily meta because it doesn't really cater to one type of play style. But my favorite thing about this formation is no matter how you play, it's going to work for you. This is probably that type of formation where it works for literally everybody, and if it's not working for you, then I don't even know what to say. Do I think it's better than the 4-2-1-3, the 4-2-2, stuff like that? No, because those are literally the meta, if that makes sense. But if you don't play meta, if you're new to the game, if you're not that skilled, then you get a lot of value from a 4-4-2 as well. Keep in mind what I said earlier about your center midfielders. Now, like I said, if you're someone that wants to attack with your center midfielders, if you're someone that wants to get volume with them into the box, then absolutely be my guest. Use this custom tactic and change the center midfielders. That way, put them on box to box, whatever you want. You can't really go wrong with the combo. But if you're like me, where I want my wingers to get a lot of goal scoring opportunities because they have really good stats, then you're better off using it how I did it. Make sure you don't use box to box or playmaker on a 4-4-2, and you'll get, like I said, it'll work really well for you. But other than that, guys, that's it for today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's all.